Hi, everybody. I'm Katie from Dashing Dish, and this is my friend Caroline. We actually live 10 minutes apart. We have known each other on Instagram for years, and now we're actually able to do life together. So it's really
Yeah.
incredible. And I asked her to share her story today. Specifically, she has an amazing story just in general with health and fitness. She encourages and inspires women, but specifically regarding postpartum and just finding a really healthy and balanced way to go through that journey. And so tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to be with you guys today. So, my name is Caroline Foster, like Katie said, the very twangy, long, drawn out Caroline version of saying it. It's funny because I used to hate it when people would call me Carol or Carolyn, and now that's my mother in law's name. So, I'm always like kind of careful. But yeah, I'm so grateful to be with you guys today. So, like Katie said, I've been working in fitness for almost 10 years now, which is kind of crazy. Time flies. And I am a wife of 10 years. We've got 3 children. So I have a 7-year-old, a 4-year-old, and then an 18-month-old. And yeah, I've been working in fitness really as an overflow of what God did in my own heart in life. And I know we're going to kind of dive into my story a little bit more, but I now have my own business, and I basically coach women in health and fitness. And I also have a podcast called Fit for His Glory as well that you guys can check out to hear more about, my faith story and all of that. But God just really broke chains in my own health and fitness journey about 10 years ago. And as an overflow of that, I was like, I want to help other women experience this. Like, I want to help them, um, you know, pursue fitness and stewarding our bodies well without it being an obsession and something that they're constantly striving for. I wanted to help women do it in a way that was surrendered and grew them in godliness over just always trying to be enough and fit into the world standards. And so that was really my heart. I struggled for a really long time with just becoming, especially right before I got married, like in that, getting for the ready for the wedding season, getting really obsessed with the way I looked and constantly looking for the next new diet or thing that I could do to lose that 10 pounds, which, by the way, that was never enough, because when I would lose the 5 pounds, it was like, okay, well, now I need to lose 5 more. So it's a cycle, it's a vicious cycle. And constantly feeling like it wasn't enough, and then finally getting to a place of realizing, like, this isn't just like a Caroline issue, this is like a spiritual issue.
Mm.
And this is like something that I've got to hand over to the Lord. And so that kind of all became an overflow of now what I get to do. So
So good. And I can relate to everything you said, especially the part about it's never enough. And when we're doing it for the wrong reasons, when we're making it about us and our making our body an idol, it's never enough. Like, you will always be looking for more. And it's
absolutely.
not until you surrender it to God that truly you find freedom. So
Mm-hmm.
you've had 3 kids. So tell us a little about
Yes.
your pregnancy, your postpartum journey with all three.
Yeah. So I'm really grateful that the Lord worked in my heart and life in the area of like fitness and health before I had kids. I know that's not always everyone's story, but I am grateful for that, because heading into postpartum, it doesn't mean that I didn't still struggle, like my body looks a lot different. In fact, it's kind of funny. The other night, Emmeline and I were in the back, and it was her birthday, and she wanted to do like a bath bomb and all this kind of stuff. And we were like changing clothes, and she's like, Mom, what's wrong with your stomach? And I'm like, she's like, why does it like pooch out? And I'm like, that's called like stretch marks and stretched out skin from having you 7 years ago. So it's kind of funny. But that is just the outcome of having kids and seeing my body change. And so I'm grateful that the Lord did break a lot of chains in that area of my life beforehand. But for me, with Emmeline, I gained about 60 pounds with all of my kids. It's funny because, like, working in fitness and health, I'm like, I'm eating healthy. I'm like tracking my macros, or I'm kind of watching what I'm eating. I'm eating healthy and I'm working out, and I'm still just gaining weight. But like, that was just my body doing what it needed to do. And I think that sometimes like that can even become an obsession, or you start to feel defeated in that. Like, well, why am I gaining weight and I'm eating really healthy and I'm working out? Like, obviously we should gain weight, but I gained more than the recommended amount is my point. And so but that was just whatever reason, that's what my body needs to do, because guess what? That's pretty much what happened to every other pregnancy as well. So I gained 60 pounds with Emmeline. And then of course, like I started a little bit heavier with Corbin. So I was about 55 pounds, and then with Josie about 45 pounds, but I've always kind of ended up in the same spot afterwards, for the most part. So for me with Emmeline, it was very quick postpartum. So I lost the weight pretty quickly. For my body personally, again, everyone's body is different, but I don't lose weight from breastfeeding. So for me, when I'm breastfeeding, I hold on to weight. It doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter if I walk a ton or work out a ton or drink a ton of water, whatever. All the little tips that people tell you, I tend to hold on to weight. And so I have friends who like, they breastfeed and they magically lose all the baby weight. And I'm like super jealous of them, but that wasn't my story. So with Emmeline, I wasn't able to breastfeed as long because I was working full time and she got used to the bottle. And so she didn't want to latch anymore. And so I had to kind of give up breastfeeding a little bit earlier. So 9 months postpartum, I had pretty much lost all the weight. I honestly was like the fittest I'd ever been. And then with Corbin, it took me about a year to lose the weight. And then here I am with Josie, 18 months later, and I still haven't lost all the weight. I'm like still about 9-ish pounds away from that. And every journey has been different. My seasons of life are different. I've got more kids now. I'm older. Like I'm 7 years older than I was when I had Emmeline. With Josie, I breastfed her for 11 months. So I breastfed her a lot longer. So my body hasn't had as much time even to recover from after that as it, did with Emmeline. So there's so many factors that go into it. And the thing I had to learn is that I had to be realistic with myself and know that like own the fact and speak out truth that like, hey, Caroline, you're older. It might be a little bit harder this time. Hey, Caroline, you've got 3 kids you're chasing after. You've got busy schedules. There was a lot of anxiety over the past year of Josie, my daughter. She's 18 months. Well, she's actually 20 months now. But all of her gross motor has been delayed. And there's nothing wrong with her. It's just, for whatever reason, that's how she does things. And that's how God made her. But there was a lot of anxiety like that first year, because I was like, what if there's a deeper issue, just fighting all these anxious thoughts. And those things, all of those factors make you kind of hold on to weight. And when you're in fight or flight mode, your body's going to hold on to weight. So I had to come to grasp with the fact that like speak those truths that like these are my life circumstances right now. And so it might not be as easy as it was 7 years ago when I had 1 kid and it came off a lot easier. So every postpartum journey has been really different for me.
And I have to say, to the breastfeeding point, I'm still breastfeeding. Ollie is 17 months old. I never in my wildest dreams thought I would still be breastfeeding. I only breastfeed him twice a day. But I have to say, it is 100% true that some women do not lose weight. It is not an excuse. It is not something made up. Some women actually scientifically, and I'm a former nurse, so I love studying the body. And actually I read many scientific research-based studies that talk about some women actually do not lose weight fully until they stop breastfeeding. And some women actually gain weight, and it's because of the hormone prolactin. So it's, if you're in that journey and you're in that place where you're breastfeeding, you're like, man, I thought you're supposed to lose weight for this. Some women actually, their bodies do not release the weight until you're done. Now, does that mean you should stop breastfeeding? Everybody's journey is different with that as well, right? Like everybody has to do what's right for them and their baby and what they feel peace about in their heart. But for me, I just feel like I just keep telling myself, this is just a temporary season where, I'm breastfeeding, and I just have to be okay with that 5 to 10 extra pounds. And like, honestly, the minute that I stopped breastfeeding with Maddie, it was just same as what you said. I lost like 5 to 10 pounds, like within a few weeks. So it's very, very true. And I don't think a lot of people talk about that because some women do, just like you said, lose weight like from breastfeeding so fast. And I'm like, how does that happen? So,
And it's God's way of like, you know, if you think about it, it's kind of God's way of making us like our bodies are protected. Like we may hold on to 5 to 10 extra pounds because our bodies need that to like stay healthy in order to
yes,
provide for our baby, you know? So it's
yes,
honestly kind of cool if you think about it. Like, hey,
yeah.
this is how, for whatever reason, God made me, you know? So
Yes, and it's true. And you burn anywhere from 500 to 800 calories a day breastfeeding. So what I believe is that you hold on to a little extra fat just in case. Let's say you don't eat enough that day, right? Like,
mhm.
or a few days in a row. Like I had the flu, I didn't eat for like a week, so I was still breastfeeding. So what was my body going to do? It was going to pull from some of that fat that it holds on to in order to feed my baby. So our bodies are so smart, you know, and a lot of times we fight against them, but it's God's design. So do you feel like you lost a ton of weight right after you had the babies, I should say, or how do you feel like that kind of played out?
For me, it's always been just like a little bit of a steady. And a lot of times, what will happen is like I'll lose like 5 or 6 pounds and then I'll plateau for honestly like 3 or 4 months. And that's usually when we get frustrated, right? Like everything I'm doing is not working or whatever. Or you know, think that it should be quicker. So for me it was typically like, obviously you lose weight when you have the baby from all the fluids and things like that and come home, and then I would steadily, probably for the first 6 weeks, like lose weight. But I really think those first 6 weeks when you come home postpartum, you just need to give your like, don't step on the scale, like don't do
Yes.
that to yourself. Just
Yes.
like rest, heal, honestly, even up to 12 weeks, like rest, heal, let your body just heal from all of that. It's traumatic, you know, it's
Yes.
traumatic on your body. And, you know, then maybe you can start to like walk or whatever. But I think that there's so much pressure to bounce back in our society.
Mm.
So for me, though, it was pretty much always like a very just steady thing. And then once I kind of got to a certain spot, then I, you know, was like, okay, now I'm ready to commit to like trying to get back to a healthy place of, you know, lifting weights and doing more consistent workouts. And then I would start to see the weight come off. But for me, I almost always have like random plateaus. Like I've been in a plateau honestly for the past probably like 5 months. And I just now, like in the last 2 weeks, kind of broke that plateau and I've been stuck there for like 5 months. So that's just my body in particular. And then I might lose 5 pounds and then I don't ever gain it back. And that's what you don't want. You know, sometimes you lose so much weight so fast and then you just end up gaining it back, you know?
Yes,
So
that's 100%. If you do it fast, there's a very high chance you're going to lose it or gain it back. And
mhm.
I'm the same exact as you. I find that I go slow and steady, and then my body just reaches a new happy place, and then it stays
Yep.
there. And
Yep.
it's very hard actually to gain weight. Like I would have to like go on like a 2 week vacation and like just eat crazy and do crazy stuff in
Totally.
order to gain weight.
Mhm.
So it's actually a really nice thing because it might take longer, but your body just is like, I'm happy here, and it stays there, and it's pretty
Yeah.
nice. Not always when you're in the
Yeah.
plateau, but like when
Yes.
you overcome it and you get to the place you
Yes.
want to be, it's pretty easy to stay there.
And I think
So
that's
what
what
does
I
your nutrition
typically,
look like now that you are,
yeah.
you know, you have, and I will say too, what you said was so important to note is that in the 6 week period or even 12-week period, I would say for sure 3 months, give yourself
Yes.
3 months. Don't even think about like anything related to anything we're saying, like keeping track of fitness, nutrition. Just
No.
first of all, sleep. Like get sleep
Yes.
and focus on sleep, because if you don't sleep, your body will not let you
Mhm.
lose weight. Like it knows what it needs, and sleep is number one. So get past the point where you're so sleep deprived you don't even know what's going on, and then
Yes.
start to think about these things that we're talking about. But what does your nutrition look like throughout your journey, and especially right now?
I just kind of shoot for like a certain amount of veggies a day, a certain amount of carbs, a certain amount of fats, and a certain amount of like protein. So every day I'll just shoot to try to hit those. And that's kind of what I do now. For me, honestly, the main reason, and it's for me, it's actually not, I may have it sitting here. It's actually just like, here's a little example just to kind of show you. It's like little, I just put little check marks and then I like mark them off. And I'll put beside them like, you know, what I ate that day or whatever. or that meal. So, if I have Greek yogurt in something, then I'll put it beside the red and mark that off as one. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. For me, it's really because I want to make sure I'm getting balanced meals, but I'm not in a calorie tracking kind of mindset. Like that's not what I really want to do right now. So, but
Right.
I want to make sure that I'm getting enough veggies and proteins and all that good stuff. So that's why I like doing this personally, just because I can tend to like look up and I'm like, I had no veggies today. Like, awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's personally what I've been doing. And I just have it based on, I calculated these actually myself just based on like how many calories my body probably needed. But I'm honestly eating more calories now than I've ever eaten before in my life.
Yeah.
So I just try to, that's kind of my approach. Like it's pretty simple. It's just like I try to every day and I'm very loose with it. I'm gonna be honest. Like I just really try to eat healthy for the most part. And I try to kind of track it, but it's pretty loose. So like, I'm going to a friend's house for dinner tonight. I'm not going to be like, oh, I have to stick to this. So that's kind of my approach.
Yeah.
I do think that in certain seasons you do. I mean, I think certain seasons, if there's someone who does have a lot of weight to lose because you're at risk for diabetes or heart disease or whatever, there is certain seasons of your life where you are going to have to be more strict. Like
Yeah.
you are going to have to lean into that. But if you're a postpartum mom, like you really just need to focus on nourishing your bodies. And that's
Yeah.
what I've been doing. And then once you kind of get to a place where you feel like Katie said, you're getting that sleep. Sleep's so important. Then maybe you can start to pay attention a little bit more to what you eat. And then maybe it's just a daily walk. And then eventually maybe it is like a workout. I had a call yesterday with a client and she was like shooting for getting up at 5 a.m. every day and doing a workout, but she's not going to bed till 11. And I'm like, girl, 6 hours of sleep is not enough. Like, I would rather you work out 3 days a week
Yeah.
and get 7 hours of sleep every night, a minimum 7 to 8, really 8.
Yeah.
And not be so focused on working out as much and make sure you're getting sleep first. And then you can kind of build in anything else. So I think we just have to like really understand our bodies, get to know our bodies better and see how we can support them because they really are amazing. Like the way God made us is just so cool. So that's kind of long-winded answer to what you asked.
So good. So good. And I agree with you. I think sometimes there's a season for being more strict, but also counting calories and things like that. Postpartum is not one of those seasons. You have to listen to your body postpartum because there's so many other factors than just nutrition and exercise that go into that. And so for you particularly, when it comes to like a weekly workout right now, what does your workouts look like for like a week?
Yeah. So typically, I like to commit to doing like fitness programs. I do my workouts from home. So every month I will do a different program. And I like to mix it up. I'm usually not like a Pilates type of girl, but this month I'm actually doing a Pilates program just because I was like, I just want to change it up and see kind of how my body responds. All of our bodies are different, like we've been saying over and over again on this. But so, I have friends who they do Pilates and they're like ripped. But then I have other friends who do Pilates and they're like, I don't think this is doing anything. So all of us are different. And I think you have to find your happy place in that. I'm personally a weightlifting girl. That's what I love to do. If you've never done like Les Mills body pump, that's like my jam. Like I love that workout. A lot of gyms, you can go take that class. And so I love that workout. It's kind of strength training mixed with, kind of good music and you're kind of just following what the trainer tells you to do. But I love that class. So typically right now, I will do Monday through Friday. And if I really just want to, sometimes I'll do work on Saturday just for fun. I'm kind of one of those weirdos who loves working out. Eating healthy is a lot harder for me, which Katie, you're in the South now. So, it's a little harder to find like healthier places too, to like grab food and things like that than around here. But yeah, so I love working out. It's just like fun for me. So sometimes I'll go out on Saturdays and like ride my bike or something like that. but I'm usually I do 30-minute workouts from home in my garage. I have just a little workout space. We have tons of equipment. We've just kind of accumulated that we just, again, for us, it's kind of a hobby. But there's so many great workouts. I mean, I know you've had Nourish Me with Love on there, Lindsay, on here. She's amazing. Her workouts are awesome. I love them. There's just so many great, like, free things, but also things you can pay for, and great workouts these days that you can do from home. But that's kind of what it looks like for me. So I'm typically like, I did Muscle Burns Fat last month, which is a program by a girl named Megan Davies. And I love her because she is so real. And I love that program because it's got a little bit of cardio in every workout, but it's just a little bit. So it's not like the whole workout's cardio. It's strength training the entire time, but then you'll have little spurts of cardio in there. And it's mostly jump roping, which is super fun to me. So that's what I just finished up. And then, like I said, I'm doing a program right now that is by a girl named Andrea. She owns a ton of, and I think it's on Open Fit as well, if anybody has Open Fit. She has a ton of great bar workouts. And so that's what I'm doing right now in Pilates. So
that's so good. I feel like I'm the same as you. I've tried a lot of things, but weight training is like my jam. I love it. And I did do body pump in Michigan. They had it at our gym as a class. So I love group fitness classes. I can't do it now in this season of life with Ollie at home. But I loved doing that. So I'm like you. We're sisters with that, soul sisters with our workouts. But I think it's with working out, I always tell people, do what you enjoy, because that's the thing you'll ultimately stick with. If you don't like it, you're not going to do it. So you got to find something that you're like, this is it. I enjoy this. Maybe you don't love doing it every single week, but it's enough that it'll keep you going. And so last question I have for you is, how did you find that loving in your body in every season made a difference in your success? And like you mentioned, it's not always that you like love where you're at, but I know just by watching you and following you on Instagram that you've made it a priority to love your body in every season. So how do you think that played a role in your success?
Absolutely. I think that you have to know that your confidence is found in Christ. So first and foremost, obviously. So like, my confidence has to be, I'm like getting teary-eyed. I don't even know. We're going to just get fired up about this. But, my confidence is found in Christ first. And so no matter what my body looks like I look back on pictures and I'm like, no wonder I felt drained and tired. And, I was puffy and I had extra 60 pounds. And like, when you're in that place, you just feel so defeated and you feel exhausted and you love this baby, but you're confused and you don't feel yourself. And I struggled with a lot of especially after my son, a lot of postpartum baby blues, and just my mind going places that I never expected it to go. And I just, now on the other side of that, it's like, man, I'm so grateful that I made the choice to be like, all right, Lord, I know that you're using this to refine me. I know that you're using this as a sanctification tool in my life to make me a better wife, to make me a better mom, to make me a better follower of you, to make me just be able to encourage women better, to make me more relatable and understand where they're coming from better. And so I think for me, just loving myself in that, really that love came ultimately from knowing my worth in him. But then as an overflow, I think just little things that I could do each day, I kind of had to get to a place where I realized these little habits are making me feel more normal and making me feel better. So I think if you're postpartum, find little things that make you feel like you. I know that sounds weird to say, but I don't want to say the old you, because that's not, it's not like you're trying to be that person necessarily, but just those little things that make you happy, that, it fills my cup to go on a prayer walk in the mornings and feel the fresh air. If that's something that you love to do, try to make that a priority. Even if it doesn't feel like it's making a huge difference right now, over time, those little tiny things that fill your cup, then it starts to overflow and kind of snowball into other areas of your life. And so for me, just really finding those little things that filled my cup. And then from there, obviously too, just remembering my why, and looking and really being, I'm really big on gratitude journaling. I think it's so important just to choose to see the good in what's happening in our lives. but sometimes the good is ugly, like it looks ugly on the outside, but there's little good things in it. And so it's not to say that like life has to be perfect and you have to make it look like it is. Like it's not like that. Obviously, there's going to be some things that are just ugly, like straight up ugly, that happen. But choosing to be like, okay, God, but what are you teaching me through it? And so I feel for myself, like having children is so beautiful, but sometimes it's really hard. And sometimes like you are in the postpartum baby blues and you feel like everybody acts like motherhood's supposed to be perfect, and it's not, and you're drained and you're tired and you're like, who am I? What happened to me? And so I guess what I'm getting at is like just choosing the little good things in that, and asking God like every day, God, what are you teaching me in this? As you start to steward your body well again, and you start to move your body well, like, okay, God, what are you teaching me? What are you teaching me? What are you teaching me? And you come out on the other side so much stronger. So I hope that encourages someone. I hope that made sense.
I almost cried just listening to that. And I'll tell you, like, it is so true that we just have to remember that everything is a season. Like I tell myself all the time, but really I feel like it's the Holy Spirit whispering it to me. This too shall pass. This too shall pass.
Yes.
Everything we go through, it's just a season. And like postpartum, it's just a season, and you will come out on the other side and you'll be like, whoa. And for everybody, it looks so different. So that's another thing. You can't compare yourself to anybody else. But I know that the things that you shared today will encourage women no matter where they're at in their journey, even if they're not postpartum, because it encouraged me. So thank you for sharing your incredible heart and your story. And if you guys want to find more about Caroline, share like wherever they can find you, like a tag on Instagram.
Yes, absolutely. And let me say this really quick. Galatians 6:9. Pray that over yourself. Let me not grow weary in doing good. For on the other side, like I'm going to experience a harvest in this. And it's totally up to God on what that looks like. So sorry, my phone. But you guys can find me at Thriving with Caroline. That is my Instagram. Not because life is perfect, but because we're going to choose to see the joy, and we're going to choose to thrive in it, even when we're in survival mode. And so Thriving with Caroline. And then my podcast is Fit for His Glory. We also have an Instagram account for that as well. So you can find me at Fit for His Glory on Instagram as well. And yeah, I would love to have you guys on my podcast. I talk all about, just fitness and why we pursue fitness. And so in my story. So yeah, I'd love to have you guys over there.
And what I love about what you do is you not only just show real life, like fitness and how you get it done, being a busy mom and wife, but also you incorporate Jesus into everything you do. So that's what I love about you. And that's what I love about following you. So everybody go check out everything that Caroline does. Like she said, she has a podcast, she has an Instagram, everything. It will encourage and bless your heart. And thank you so much for your time today.
Yes, you're the best, Katie. Thanks, everyone.